Hello, good morning, and welcome to office hours. It's Monday morning Eastern time, and it's actually 12 midnight my time in Singapore. Hope everybody's okay. Hi, Don. Don from Saratoga. Good morning. Can you hear me and the AV okay? AV and video okay? Oh, great. Okay, great to see you. Well, I think as you can guess, I'm not Lisa. Lisa's away for I think part of this week, so I'll be sitting in for her for this session, the 11 o'clock hour, and I think her session in the evening at 8 p.m. will also be taken over by somebody else. I think Joe Santulli is doing it. Okay, so I hope I can help with the questions that you may have for the next 30 minutes or so. I am also trying to sort of get through some questions which were previously asked, as well as some questions that have come up during my sessions with my own clients as well. So I hope you find it interesting. Well, maybe a bit of introduction about myself for those who are new to me. Hi, Paula. Good morning. Just doing a bit of self-introduction. I think this is my first session at 11 o'clock. I'm usually on at in the evening at 10 p.m. My usual slot is on Wednesday evenings. So for those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Yuan Lim, and I basically am a practicing coach based in Singapore. Previous to my coaching practice, I've had about 25 years experience in corporate management. I basically specialize in career transition and career performance. And the last 8 years, I spent in the business school in Singapore looking after the MBA program and handling its international partnerships as well. So previously, I've had industry experience in IT in FMCG, HR consulting, hotel leisure, startups, and consumer electronics. Okay, right. Hi, Dan. Good morning. Brian from Chicago. Hi, good morning, Brian. Okay, great. We have a good list of people coming in. I guess for those who are new to office hours, as usual, if you have a comment that you'd like me to bring up, just type in capital letters and bracket comment. And also, if you've got a question, also type in capital letters so that I can spot it easily, and then I can come to it if there's any thing raised for the moment. Okay. Right. Let me see who we have so far. So we've got a few people. We've got Don, we've got Dan, Brian, Paula. What else is it? Christy. Hi, Christy. Good morning. Right. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. Monday, start of the week. I hope that it's not Monday blues for people. And I hope you've also started in motion the plans for the rest of the week. It's probably slightly over 2 weeks before Christmas. Done your Christmas shopping as yet? It's no snow in Singapore. It's pretty warm here, but we've already got Christmas carols going on in the malls. People are shopping. Radio Christmas jingles are coming on. So festivity has started. So everybody's getting in the mood. So I hope you also getting in the mood for some really nice celebrations coming in. Okay, let me see now. Okay, maybe what I can do to kick off the whole process rolling is to perhaps address some questions which was raised to me a few days ago, and I thought it might be interesting for everyone to maybe chip in and also share your thoughts and views, and I can also chip in on my own experiences and views about these items. Okay, so I think start of the week, Monday. I think as probably most of you know, really Mondays are not days for you to actually follow up on perhaps your job applications or your interviews, because as you know, Mondays are usually the busiest times of the week, and a lot of hiring managers or recruiters basically really want to focus on their own emails, their own business for the day. So best time really to follow up on such matters for you as a job seeker is perhaps between Tuesday to Thursday. I usually recommend Tuesday to Thursday. I like to leave Fridays alone for other activities such as informational interviews and such. So no, that's what I usually recommend for my clients as well. And maybe just for Monday, what you can do is, well, apart from looking at all the various office hour slots, you can do a lot of research on companies, your bucket list, on the industry news, so that you can position yourself as a problem solver and share the information with your network. Okay. Oh, Chrissy, great, you've got a question. Do you have any interview tips? I'm overloading on info and trying to remember everything. Well, I think interviews really, there's a lot of things that you can do during interviews, but one of the things that I always try to encourage my clients to do is practice. Okay, practice what your answers would be before the interviews, and come up with some typical what I call FAQs, frequently asked questions, and really go through your answers. One good way is either practice with another person, or and if you don't have a person in front of you, really practice in the mirror as well. I think the other tip that I usually I ask my clients to do is to make sure you do your research about the company, do your research about the person that's interviewing you. If you know the name of the person, get to know their background, so that you have something that you can discuss with them in a meaningful manner, especially about the company, because typically the more you know about the company, the more convincing you will be during the interview as well. And I think these are the two key areas that I would recommend in terms of preparing for the interview. I think the other things about interview would be making sure your mindset is tuned in the right way, go in with confidence. I think the fact that you've been chosen for interview really means that they've seen something in your application, in your CV. So be confident with yourself. Go into interview, have a great firm handshake, smile, and just be confident about it. Okay. I hope, Christy, that I've answered your question. I think interviews are could be really a great way for you to share your own career story with the person as well. Okay. Brian from Chicago, you've got a question. With the holidays coming in and people starting to take vacation time, what do you recommend to keep motivated as things start to slow down? Great question, Brian. In fact, this was related to one of the questions that my client has actually asked a few days ago. And I think basically, as we move more into the December period, businesses are winding down, people are winding down. So what do you do during this period? And I think it all really depends on the stage you are at in your job search process. So for example, if you just started on your job search, I think the key thing is really to make sure you focus on your self-assessment. Perhaps complete your PSP, your personal success profile. Go through making sure that you come up with your bucket list. Do a lot of research about your companies and what their industry is. Look into your own personal branding. So perhaps things like tidying up your LinkedIn profile, your website, if you have got a website, start contributing to your blogs, looking at your resume, making sure that it's ready to go. And I think one thing I also recommend to a lot of people is really look into perhaps writing down what your career story is. All right, a couple of weeks ago, I did an office hour session on crafting your career story. And I think that's really useful, especially this is really useful for people who have maybe a non-traditional career path or career trajectory. So having a career story can help you in terms of anticipating what might potentially be anxious questions from interviewers or such the like. Okay, so I think also one part that we could do during this period as well is really preparing yourself mentally. I spoke about the topic on resilience last week, and I think for those who dread the thought of visiting your relatives or meeting friends during this period, and dread answering the question if they ask, like, how's your job search going? Be confident, be optimistic about the whole thing. And I think you'd always answer back, say, it's going great. I've had a lot of contacts. I'm looking to a lot of options. I think the key thing here is making sure that you fortify yourself in terms of your outlook. Your mental preparations are positive. Look at things in a what I call a half full, glass half full manner rather than a half empty manner. All right. So I think that is one part. Now, if you're already in a process of actually searching for the job for a long time, and you've gone through interviews and all that sort of thing, maybe this is a month that is a good time for you to sort of reinforce or develop your networks or establish new relationships. I think some people mentioned that there's a lot of networking events going on during this period as well. So it may be a good time for you to do that. And one thing I also encourage my clients to do is revisit the people who have helped you along the way, thank them for the help. Sending festive greetings is really a good excuse to re-establish a contact and say thank you for helping me that previous time, and so it's really good to re-establish that. One good way is also to relook at how you can position yourself as a problem solver with your bucket list of companies. So looking up information, industry news and such, and then using this opportunity, perhaps when you send your own festive greetings, to sort of share some industry news or updates to your bucket list. So those are the few things that I try to recommend. I hope that's some good points that you can sort of follow up, Brian. Yeah. Oh, Don from Saratoga. Just had a short phone interview. All right, great. Congratulations, Don. Keeping fingers crossed. I hope things go well. I hope that they'll be able to get back to you with an answer, and if all goes well, you've got a great early Christmas present then. Right. Laura has a comment. That always gets me. It's hard to be positive sometimes when you get a question a million times. Totally understand. But I think one of the things that you'll have to face up with this is reality, but look at it in a positive way, because it shows that people care what's happening with you. So if you feel that if you look at it from that point of view, then you could also express your gratitude to people who ask that question. Say thank you for your concern. I'm doing great. So it's all about mental preparations. I have a similar analogy previously when before I was married, and I dread going to visiting family, because they used to ask me, so when you're getting married and such. I always dread doing that. So so I've learned to sort of adapt to the whole situation and say, oh, I'm no plans yet, but I'm going out with this and this. So I think it's all about preparing yourself mentally for this. PA Paul, you've got a question. I'm going through JSAT Module 2 and just did a core values assessment. I find I have 4 different areas to address besides landing a new position. How do you handle this? Okay, let me see now. You have 4 different areas to address. Paul, perhaps you could sort of share with me what are the 4 different areas, so that I can take a look and see how that could compare with the rest. The Module 2 Core Values Assessment. I think one of the things that I found when my clients go through their core values assessment is that the biggest difficulty they have is really boiling it down to a few key ones rather than having too long a list. So yes, Paul, you mentioned, yes, mental, finances, career, family, and relationships. So you have four different areas to address besides landing a new position. So how do you handle this? Well, I'm not sure what your conflict here is, but I think those. In fact, quite a few of your areas here: mental, finances, career, family, and relationships. If you look at it, in some ways, there's a common theme across it. I think the key thing here is to find out which is your strongest value. Paula, yeah, conflict is tying. Paul, you said conflict is tying my person and self-worth to a position. Well, I think you probably have to reevaluate and take a look at what it means to yourself. Why are you looking at conflict as something that contributes to your self-worth, and why do you think that the role that you're in is also tied to your own self-worth? Give you an example. When I was early in my career, one of the things that I dreaded doing was looking for another job, even though I was really unhappy about it, because to me that job signified my level of success in my role. But I also realized that by persevering, by going through that career path down the line, it affected me personally, and it actually eroded my relationships with the people around me, my loved ones and such. So I had to go through a period of personal assessment to say which one was priority for me, and I found that family was and friends were my priority, and therefore I made a strong decision to say, okay, maybe that career isn't really for me, because the cost of pursuing that career really affected the way I looked and interacted with the people that I care about. Okay, so I had to really reach a difficult decision, and to then reach out and really look for other opportunities as well. Paul, you mentioned right now mentally not motivated but trying to push through this. That's why I rejoined a second time this year. It's tough, I know. I can empathize with that, Paul. I think, but you really have to sit down and really try to look at what your priorities are, and bouncing off, having a good discussion with the people around you would help. I think during this period as well, having a support structure, people you can talk to, is also really important. One of the things that I always tell my clients when they go through a career transition or a career search, or when they are having difficulty in their own job for the moment, is really to make sure that you have a support structure, because that's so important. Making sure that you don't go through this alone, Paul. Making sure that you have people around you who care for you, and I think that is really, really important. Okay, you're not alone in this, and neither are you at fault in the way you feel. So just persevere and make sure that you identify your priorities. Yeah. Paul, I don't know if that answered your question in that sense. There may be some other areas that you would look at, but I would really suggest that you really look at your set of core values and identify which one is the one that is top of your mind. Okay. Yes, I think, Paul, you said your priority is getting work ASAP. That's the most important. Well, I think one of the things that I've always advised my clients to do is, we all want to make sure that we are able to earn a living, but it's a question whether you want to do it short term or long term. And I always advise my clients to actually look at things in a longer period, especially right now. where it's December, and I think the opportunities for getting a job right now are really boiled down to companies who are urgently looking for replacements or to fill up new positions. But essentially, most of the opportunities will start to come only next year. So perhaps this is a really good time, like I mentioned, to really start assessing, do some self-assessment, do some inward looking as to what really drives you, what really motivates you, and then really plan, start rolling out for 2016. Well, I think December, like I mentioned, is also the time for you to build your resilience as well. So really look at some of the things that are bothering you. I actually recommend one approach called the narrative approach, where you actually write down on a piece of paper what's bothering you, what are the issues that are demotivating you. Really look at that. And then I think that's part one, because I think by writing things down, research has actually shown that it actually helps you, because it actually helps your immune system, and also it sort of removes the emotion from your own issues as well. So writing things down, and then the second part of this process is really then sharing this story, for example, with someone, but someone neutral, and someone who you can bounce things off, maybe a coach, or somebody who doesn't judge you. And then during this course of writing it down and then sharing it with someone actually helps a lot in terms of generating another point of view, and then sometimes it also gives you new ideas as well. So I've actually seen this approach work very, very well right in front of me, and so I think maybe it's something you can try as well, Paul. Okay. Laura has a question. You had a phone interview today, and we set up interview last week, but during the call they said they didn't have any positions open, and I should follow up in January. How do I approach it? Well, I think the great thing here is that you managed to have an interview, the phone interview, and I think it's great that they tell you, for example, that they didn't have this position, but try to follow up in January. I think the first thing for you to do is really to be appreciative of the whole thing. Maybe after the call, drop a email to the interviewer and say thank you for the call. It was great talking to you. I understand that there's no position now, but I hope that thank you for considering me for next year. And then perhaps after the Christmas period, or just before the New Year, or maybe in the early part of the New Year, you drop another note to them, or maybe even a phone call saying how things are. Just try and do a little follow up on what we discussed earlier in the December on a phone interview, and just to catch up on how things are. But don't be too pushy about it, because I think the key thing here is to gently remind them and keep yourself in the top of mind awareness for these people as well. Yeah. I think again here, Laura, it's not everyone receives rejection very well. And I think this is a time again to sort of be gracious about the whole thing. But I think your reputation is also at stake, so be professional about the whole thing as well. Don't be bitter about it. Don't take it personally, because everybody gets a rejection letter once in a while. So I think the key thing here is that you maintain the relationship as well, even after this period. Go back to them and re-establish relationship. Still continue to position yourself as a problem solver. Okay. And I think I remember one case where this person actually got rejected the first time with the interview, but he kept going back and retaining the relationship with the client, and with the recruiter, with the hiring manager, and eventually, while the relationship was positive, the company eventually came back and offered him a job. Okay, right. Great questions, actually, everyone. Oh yes, I remember there was actually another question from someone who mentioned this about networking because we mentioned that December is also there's a lot of potential networking events as well. So they were saying that they were introverts, so and they're really lousy at networking, and what should they do? Because networking, I think for introverts is really a daunting prospect. So well, I think one of the things that I like to sort of deal with this is really to understand what we mean by being an introvert during a networking activity. Introvert doesn't really necessarily mean that you are a shy person. That I remember seeing a definition of an introverted person is that you are actually energized by being alone. You are more inward looking than outward looking. And I think when you go into a networking event as an you just be confident because actually as an introvert you've got a few advantages. You tend to listen better. You're a good listener. You tend to come across less aggressive. You're not brash, so a lot of people look at this very positively. And I think as an introvert, you actually like to be prepared. So leverage on these. And one of the things that I advise people during networking, introverts, when they want to prepare for a networking event, is to find out who are the people that's going to attend this event, and if it's possible, establish a contact with them beforehand as well. I think the other thing is also practice your pitch. Practice your opening line. Practice as to how you want to position establishing a contact. The other bit is also during the networking event. Start with someone you know. Use that someone to help you introduce to somebody else or to another group of people. And I also tend to advise you to sort of introverts to when you want to enter a new group, for example, a group of 3 to 4 people is actually a nice small. It's not too large for you to be ignored, and it's actually not too small for you to feel that you're intruding. So you just go in with a group of 3 to 4. I think that's a great way to actually start a conversation. Okay. Paul has a comment. Last Friday, I did contact a company that is seeking sales position, something out of my tech box, dealing with expensive parts for exotic Ferraris instead of filling out a blind application. So you called the company and spoke with the GM, had a good conversation, and shared some computer info to help him. He asked me to send my resume to his salesman. That's great, Paul. Excellent news. I think that's a great first step that you were able to establish. And then GM is the general manager, is the decision maker. And I think for him to actually tell you to send your resume to his sales manager is a great first step. And I think the possibilities are great there. Yeah. Paul mentioning that you're waiting to hear back from him, but you found that being aggressive works for you. So I'm thinking you're thinking of calling him tomorrow to follow up. Well, I think being aggressive is good in certain situations. I think in this sense, I think you really look at what you mean by being aggressive. I think different people definition of aggressiveness is different. I think maybe in your case, it sounds to me like being aggressive means taking proactive action, and to me that's okay. That's not really being aggressive at all. I think that's being proactive. So I think a lot of people appreciate being proactive. So I think it's great that you follow up with a call because since his general manager, the GM, has actually recommended that you share your resume with his sales manager. So follow up with a call and say, hey, I hope you receive my resume. Hope everything's going okay, and maybe we could set up a meeting and so forth. But do it in how should I put it? In a constructive way, okay, not in a very pushy way. All right. Don from Saratoga. At your last position, you dealt with customers and suppliers in China, Japan, Australia, and Europe. So I know what it's like to deal with world time differences. Right, yes, absolutely. There was one comment I made last week during my own office hour sessions, is that I feel like I'm talking in a time machine. Is that to me here it's midnight now, but to you it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and so it's like, hey, I'm talking to people back in time. So it's a really interesting prospect. Laura has a question. I was talking to a coworker at work who told me about company related to my field. I found a company and would love to work there. Can I cold call a company? Um, I think one of the good things. I think one suggestion I would like to make, if the timing is not an urgency, is really to look for a contact within the company. So try and find someone in the company who you can link up with. LinkedIn is a great platform for you to establish an initial relationship. And I think the key thing here is that that is more effective than actually doing a cold call. I think if you have someone establishing a relationship with someone in that company and developing it, and then trying to lead that into the opportunity, is a better start, a more impactful start. Yeah. Laura says the website suggests calling if interested in that position. Well, I mean, if they're coming up with a call to action, I call it a call to action. By all means, you can do so. And but just bear in mind that the fact that they've actually put it out publicly on their website means that there probably going to be a lot of people calling, so you'll be in competition with those people. So if you really want to differentiate yourself from the cold callers that are doing the same thing that you are, then having a linkage, having a referral from someone internal would be a stronger and more impactful way of getting inroads into that opportunity. Right? Simone, you have a question. When companies are contacting you for roles you didn't apply for, which is great, and the role is not posted everywhere, just on one site, does this mean that the company is trying to be selective with candidates by reaching out specifically, and they're not looking to get a ton of resumes? I think you've hit the nail on the head, Simone. Basically, I think first thing is that congratulations if the company actually sought you out, which means that they've seen something in you that they felt could be a potential. So you've already got a head start in that. Actually, quite a lot of companies do this. They actually prefer to sort of be more selective for the candidates they have. Yeah, I think that's great. If you're talking to them today, that would be great. And as a hiring manager before, I actually dread the thought of having too many irrelevant resumes being sent to me for a job opening that I've advertised in various places. So if there was a way for me to actually be very selective about the candidates, I would tend to prefer that as well. So I think that's what the company is doing this time around. Yeah. So Simone, keep your fingers crossed, and I hope things turn out as well. Yeah. Excellent questions, and I think it looks like quite a few people are really getting some great insights and great inroads and into opportunities. Yeah. Don from Saratoga. Oh, that just happened to you 20 minutes ago. Wow, Mondays looks like a very productive day for everyone here. They found you on LinkedIn, right? Excellent, and gave you a phone interview on the spot as well. Excellent. Actually, this point about getting a phone interview, you don't. A lot of people actually are not very prepared for phone interviews. So I think if you're in the job search process, one of the things that you really have to sort of be really prepared is be ready for the ad hoc phone call from a hiring manager or from a recruiter, because sometimes the recruiters or the hiring managers tend to use the initial phone call as a way to filter out candidates very quickly. So I think mentally you should also be prepared to handle such calls at the drop of hat as well. Yeah. Right. Excellent. Excellent questions, guys. Do you have any more questions coming in? Great to see that your LinkedIn profiles are working very well for you, and I think that again reminds all of us that we really need to make sure that we get our LinkedIn profiles tidied up, making sure that our personal branding, our personal marketing is done effectively on that, because that's such a great channel for identifying opportunities. Yeah. Okay. Right, it is a 11:36 a.m. for everyone in Eastern Time, and I hope that all of you have a great Monday. I hope all of you have a great start to the week as well. And it's been a great session with everyone, and I really enjoyed it. The questions kept coming in, and I hope the discussion was good. I also enjoy the chip-ins from everyone else as well. So great rest of the week, everyone. If you are free on Wednesday evenings at the 10 p.m. slot, I welcome all of you to sort of sign in and have a chat as well. Paula, thank you very much for coming in as well. Yes, JT is on at 3 today, so all of you please also sit in and have a chat with JT as well. Okay, if you would like to sort of get in touch with me, this is my email address and also my LinkedIn profile. So I hope that you guys reach out and also link up and connect up on LinkedIn as well. Okay, great day, everyone, and I hope to chat with you another day. Bye.